everyone. So weather's going to be super wet the next couple of days, and we're moving operations inside. Excited to get some more bee boxes put together. We found a couple of pre-made brood boxes and supers, but we don't have any bases or lids, so I'm going to go ahead and fabricate some out of some finished plywood here. I know some people would disagree with that medium, but we're going to go ahead and use it for today until I can get my hands on some better grade wood. We have a overflow going on in our one hive, and we want to go ahead and split them and get a couple of more hives going today. So yeah, I'm just going to share some footage of that and then the finished product. And what I've done here is measured out the dimensions of our brood box, and this is going to be my base. And there'll be spacing of 7/8 so that when the brood sits on top of this, there's a nice little gap, and then at the end here we'll have our little doorway so that they can come in and out, and then we'll stack our supers up on top of that. And then later on I'll put together a inner lid and an outer lid, and the inner lid will be essentially the same size as the super, with a hole in the middle so that we can put our feeder boxes on in the spring. And then the outer lid will be a more heavy duty with an overlap, so that it that'll sit on all winter and basically create a little bit more of a seal and help them insulate a little better. Before getting started with assembling this thing, I almost forgot I need to make an entrance. It's going to be kind of hard to see on the video there. So I've kind of marked off where I'm going to notch a little slot into this front piece here that will sit at the front of the hive, and then I'm going to go ahead and reattach it with a screw here so I can just kind of pop it open and slide it open, and then they can go in and out pretty freely. And then in the winter it'll allow me to kind of just keep it just at a little bit of a notch so that they can get some air circulating up in there. I've got my little notched out piece here, and that'll go right onto the front of the hive. I'm going to go ahead and try and reattach it back into the slot that I cut it out of with a little screw, so that we can just kind of pop that open at will. And as I cut a little notch in there, so it gives us, you can kind of push it in the back, and then it gives you something to grab onto. So if you cut it straight, it kind of makes it hard to get it out of there. So yeah, hopefully this works. Okay, so I wanted to get this piece on first, measured out. This is going to be the depth underneath my brood, and I've got the little door here, and then that just kind of slides open. The brood box will sit on top of that. You can shut that in the cold winter months and just kind of leave it cracked so they get some airflow through the hole at the top that I'll have on the inside lid. And that's how they'll get in and out to go harvest honey. They got a little landing pad here. I'll get a little slope on there for them. And yeah, worked out well. I had to make a few adjustments. I forgot to trim a little bit off the back of this this little notched out door here. So don't forget to do that. And as I mentioned, when I cut it out, I cut it at a little bit of an angle you can see there. 30 degree or something, but yeah, it gives you a nice little ledge to grab when you're opening and closing it. Now I can use this to set my sidebars, because that's the height I'll want on my side panels. And yeah, should work out good. Okay, so this is the base assembled. I'm going to go ahead and finish nailing it off here in a bit, get it nice and secured. I went ahead and glued it, and I'm going to brad nail it, get it nice and tight. The bees will fill in any of your smaller discrepancies. So now my brood box will sit on top of this, and they've got a little landing pad and their little doorway, and yeah, it's good to go. Now we'll go ahead and make an inner lid and an outer lid that'll fit over these boxes. Okay, sits on there pretty good. No excessive gaps or anything. Any little things will get sealed up by the bees later on, and then yeah, we'll set our super up on this brood here, and yeah, we'll be good to go. Okay, got my base all finished up, but had an afterthought looking at my base on my first hive. The other hives, I forgot to account for notching this foundation so that we can, you know, get a hold of it a little easier if we need to pick it up and move it for some reason. We hope to not have to do that, but I also like to get a strap around my hives in the winter especially, and just kind of get them pulled down tight and make sure, you know, the heavy snow and the winds don't knock them over. So having these notches in the underside of this foundation will allow me to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get those cut in right now. Now I got some nice little handles there. Works out good. It'll make it a little easier to pick up, and then I'm gonna get a little strap over there and kind of tie everything in tight together in the winter, so you know the winds and the snows don't knock it over on us. All right, stay tuned. I'm gonna go ahead and do an inner lid and an outer lid and add it on here. And yeah, I'm no carpenter, so please be nice to me in the comments. Okay, put the finishing touches on my foundation, and I added some legs, and I went ahead and sloped the entranceway. Nothing too heavy, just about 22 degrees. We got our little doorway here. To start off, I'm just going to have that white box. The other box will be added later on. Hopefully we get a split, and we'll go ahead and get them into that first brood, let them develop that brood up a little bit. Throw that second box on shortly after. A lot of guys will run shallow boxes. We don't intend to harvest from our super here. I will have a third super that sits on top of this one here, and that will be what we extract our honey from. It's one of those flow hive setups. So the second one, the middle box, we went ahead and made it deep because I'd like them to have as much honey stored up for the winter as they can possibly get. And they don't seem to have too much issue keeping two boxes under control through the winter. We went ahead and tested that last year. The hive was strong enough to keep both boxes going. So yeah, we are super excited now. I'm going to go ahead and get my my lids done. I'll have an inner lid and an outer lid. Okay, so I went ahead and got started on pre-cut and everything for my inner lid, and again, I'm working with plywood. I took the drawings offline for these Langstroth beehive boxes and their dimensions. They call for a 1/4 inch piece of plywood on this lid with a 5/8 rim. I only had 5/16 plywood, so I bumped it up to like a 3/4 inch rim. So I'll go ahead and center these on this plywood and glue them, and then I'm going to notch it at the end here where it sits underneath the outside cover, and then that'll allow airflow. And then in the spring we can pop the outside cover off and we can put our feeder boxes on here, and I've drilled a hole so they can access the syrup feeder from the top of the hive in the early spring months before all of the dandelion and other flowers start to bloom. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing nailed and glued together, and we'll show what it looks like on top of the hive, and then I'm going to get going on my my outside cover. Okay, here we are with the inner lid all finished up and placed on top. Fits really nice. Happy with it. And next I will do an outer cover that will actually come down and overhang this, and that's what we'll keep on over the winter months for sure. This lid comes in handy in the spring when we put our syrup feeders on top here. The bees can come up and get into the syrup feeder. And sorry, I'm terrible with the camera here, but yeah, fits on there really nicely. And we'll fit on the brood for now, and then we'll add these supers later on. Okay, I've got my my outer lid pieces all cut up here, and I'm just gonna go ahead and glue them and nail them, and yeah, we'll try it on for the final piece, and yeah, excited. Okay, there we go, folks. Lid's done and on there. I went ahead and did like a 2 1/4 drop, just to the top of the handles there. And I don't know, I did a little overhang just in case we get a little bit of rain. The water doesn't drip straight down onto their little landing pad. And yeah, should work good to keep them nice and sealed up in the winter and the bad weather days. And yeah. Hopefully these girls take on to this new box and are happy with it. We're just going to monitor things closely here over the next couple of weeks and see what happens.